Hi class, I'm going to be talking about your lovely poem Ozymandias today and some of the themes that go along with it, which you will be reciting to me, and talking a bit about thesis statements and also give you some homework guidance as well. So it's a little bit of potpourri today. Hope you have a good time. Listen to this. So I'm going to be talking about the poem Ozymandias, which you will be memorizing. It's a poem by Percy Shelley. And the poem is supposedly inspired by the statue in Egypt, because we're going to be talking about Egypt this unit, of Ramses II. Ramses II is actually the same guy as Ozymandias. It's just the Greek word for Ramses is Ozymandias. And the poem basically makes a big contrast between the big and mighty, strong Ozymandias that he thinks he was back in the day. Basically, it says it on the plaque in the poem, versus the way it looks today, which is a shattered sculpture that basically is just lying in the sand in the middle of the Egyptian desert. A couple other pictures as well of the Ozymandias, and basically these crumbled statues of King Ramses II. Percy Shelley is, or was, a poet that wrote the poem Ozymandias. Like I said, his wife was Mary Shelley, who wrote the famous Frankenstein book as well. So what is the poem Ozymandias about? Well, it is, like I said, it has a big theme to it, which we're going to be following this year, along the lines of the contrast between a civilization and the might of a civilization versus how civilizations fall. And a big theme this year, we're going to talk about why civilizations fall, and they fall for different reasons, but there is a common thread amongst these civilizations. With Ozymandias, or Ramses II, whatever you want to call him, he was a mighty leader. But what does the world know about him today? Maybe not as much. So it's just something to think about. And question, kind of fun here, is who's a modern day Ozymandias? Can we compare somebody to Ramses II? So just a thought question. Now, thesis statements. We are going to work on thesis statements this year. What is a thesis statement? It is, for our purposes, it is going to be a one-sentence long historical argument. When we have a thesis statement, you're going to be making an argument related to history. So there's also the thesis statement, obviously, in English class as well. Where does it go? Well, you have your introductory paragraph, and then you're going to merely just put your thesis statement as the last sentence of your intro paragraph. So you're going to provide some background info, and then you're going to, bam, hit us with your thesis statement. It has to be specific, not general. It provides a backbone. It's not merely a preview, it's a preview of your argument. Okay, you have to have an argument of sorts. And everything in some form is going to go and relate back to the thesis. So let me give you this example here. Maybe this will make a bit more sense. So stay with me. I'm going to compare a thesis statement to a car accident. So we go outside and we see a semi-truck and a car get in some form of car accident. The whole class goes out there and we see a big old car accident. And the police come to us and they say, what happened? And they take us all aside and we're interrogated separately. One of you could say, the accident was caused by the semi-truck's driver's failure to look at lanes before he changed or whatever. So when you go here, who are you putting the blame on? This person, in a one-sentence argument, is putting the blame essentially on the semi-truck driver. Another one of you, though, could go and see the exact same accident and come up with this conclusion. The accident was caused by the unusual high rate of speed the sports car took as it tried to pass the semi-truck. So this person saw the exact same thing and put the blame on the sports car. Another one, the accident was caused by a combination of errors by both the driver of the semi-truck and the driver of the sports car. So this person is putting the blame on both. And finally, someone may go and say the heavy rain had a direct impact on the accident, as the slippery roads made safe driving impossible for even the best drivers. So this person is saying that the rain is the cause. Now, what do I mean by this? How can we tie this into a history thesis statement? All of us saw the exact same event, and yet different conclusions were come up with. Are any of them more accurate than others? Possibly. But the goal of a historian is to look at an event and come up with a specific conclusion, as long as you can back it up with specific evidence. If this person went and said heavy rain and yet it wasn't a rainy day, that's not a valid statement. But if the rain is there, maybe it did have some impact. So your goal is to go and decide which factors had a larger impact on a historical event. So let me use something along the lines of a historical event that you're familiar with, because I know you just took U.S. history last year. The question is, what caused the American Revolution? And I'm asking you, can you make a one-sentence thesis statement what caused it. So in one sentence, maybe one of you would write, the American Revolution was caused by Britain's refusal to give American delegates proper representation in Parliament, which led to bitterness and resentment towards the British. So your chain of events is you're saying they did not get proper representation in Parliament, and that led to bitterness and resentment. Okay, that could be a valid conclusion. Maybe somebody else will go in this. The American Revolution was caused by a well-organized group of anti-British colonists, primarily Sons and Daughters of Liberty. So this person is saying it's really the groups that caused it, specifically these two groups. These are both specific thesis statements. And maybe a third statement could be it was a direct reaction to a set of taxes perceived as unjust as a result of the French and Indian War. So this is making the connection between the French and Indian War and the set of taxes that needed to be raised after that. Are any of these more true than others? Maybe so. They all have truth in them. So the thesis statement is basically going to be dependent upon how well you can argue it, and if the facts aren't there, obviously it's not a good thesis statement. But these are three separate thesis statements which describe the same event and answer the question in a slightly different way. Okay. Next, what caused the Civil War? The Civil War was caused or fought by many reasons, some of which were the same and some different. This is not a good a thesis statement because it's very general. Some were the same and some different. Well, tell me what was the same and tell me what was different. Example, while both sides fought the Civil War over the issue of slavery, the North fought for moral reasons, while the South fought to preserve its own institutions. That's more specific. You're talking about the Northern reason, North fighting for moral reasons, so you're saying the North's reasons, and then you can also say the South fought to preserve its own institutions. So you're making your two separate arguments, and I can see where your essay is going. So you're making both a preview of your essay, but it's not merely a preview, it's a preview of your argument. The argument over moral reasons, and then the argument over preserving institutions. Even better, you're going to be here by the end of the year. While Northerners and Southerners believed they fought against tyranny and oppression, Northerners focused on the oppression of slaves, while Southerners defended their right to self-government. So even more specific, Southerners were fighting about right to self-government. You're going to make the comparison while both fought against tyranny and oppression. So that would be another claim you're going to make. And then the other claim that you'll make is with the Northerners, focus on oppression of slaves. So you can see this is going to make three very separate arguments which are going to be backed up with historical evidence. So something to think about. In addition, with the homework, I want to talk about that for a second and how the homework works. You're going to see on your packet there are a certain number of pages you're going to read tonight and then questions. And the two steps to homework in this class, very easy. Step 1 is read. When it says read pages 5 through 9, read them. Just got to read it. And then step 2 is answer the questions. Answering the questions, there we go, answer the questions. They are actually written on your unit guide. You are free to answer them as long as they are handwritten. You will be able to use them on the quiz. You must do them on your own. No cheating. If you get caught copying anybody else, there's going to be some severe repercussions. So make sure you please do your own work and answer the questions and answer them thoroughly. Answer them fully. I'm not talking a sentence or two. You can take it in note form, or you can go and just write out the form of a paragraph, but it's basically a short, free response. So if you have any questions on this stuff, come and see me, and I'll help you out with the homework and thesis statements as well.